have become a little bit obsessed with houseplants over the last, I'd say, year, especially since we've moved in here and we've got much more space for them, and it's not gone unnoticed by you guys. Usually I get asked where I buy them from, what their names are. The biggest one is how do I care for them and keep them alive. I'm going to answer all those types of questions at the end of the video, but right now I thought it would be fun to show you all my very cherished plants. I find it very therapeutic caring for them. There's something really nice about the process of looking after them, and it's really rewarding as well, especially when they grow. I guess it would only be right to start with this plant, which is where the obsession first began. Believe it or not, I used to be one of those people that couldn't keep plants alive. Of course, this is a cheese plant. Everyone's quite familiar with them nowadays. By the way, I'm going to address all the plants by their nicknames because I'm not going to try and pronounce some of their scientific names. I originally bought her when we were living in our flat. She's getting pretty wild now, and as you can tell by some of the very small leaves, it's definitely time to repot her. Moving on to one of the newest additions, and that is my string of pearls. It took me a long time to hunt down, and I was so happy when I eventually found one. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's classed as a succulent. I've had it for about a month and I am surprised it's still alive. I've heard horror stories from some of you guys killing your string of pearls within weeks, if not sometimes days. They need a lot of bright light, but they don't like direct sunlight. It doesn't like to get wet. It doesn't like drafts. It doesn't like to get too cold. If it does get too cold, it will go dormant, which is fine, but if you then water it when it's dormant, I've heard it will rot. We decided to hang this up last weekend. We had to drill into the wall, which was a little scary, but it seems to be holding well. I might be tempted in the future to get another one to go alongside it. The plant pot holder is from Etsy. I can link it in the description. Moving on to the last couple of plants in the bedroom. These are fairly new additions too, but as you can see, they don't have pots yet. I really struggled to find plant pots that I like the look of, so my plants just don't have proper plant pots. Lots of them are in bowls, plates, you'll see. Moving into the other rooms of the house. In the bathroom we have what's nicknamed Devil's Ivy. It's already grown quite a lot. It really likes it in the bathroom. I think it loves the humidity in here. I was originally going to hang it up, and then I realised I quite liked it on the windowsill, and I love that as it's growing it's slightly coming over the bath. I just like what it looks like. When it gets bigger, may have to hang it up. In here where we have the loo is my string of hearts. The nickname's very obvious. Again, it just looks like lots of little hearts, and it's doing really well in there. Originally, again, I planned on putting some shelving up above the loo and having it hanging down, but actually I quite like it on the windowsill. I was worried that it would be too cold there, but it's doing really well and it's almost hit the floor. We've had it for about four months now. I love how the new leaves are very pale green, and then the older ones have started to grow and they're getting quite big, and the colour has deepened a lot, and the backs of them are a very deep purple colour. It's a really pretty plant and I'm finding it fairly easy to look after. Moving into Delilah's room. If you're new to my channel, we have a 2.5-year-old daughter, and you may be thinking, why have you got a plant in your toddler's bedroom? But she is so good with plants and flowers. She's never been bothered by them. She's very gentle with them. She sniffs them or gives them a little stroke. That's the most she does. I wouldn't recommend having them in a toddler's room if your toddler's likely to eat them. Wouldn't be a good idea. By her door and her toy storage, we have this plant, which is a fiddle leaf fig. It has to be one of my favourite plants that we have in the house. I love the leaves on these. I did pop it in this basket that I got on Not on the High Street, but underneath the plant pot itself is actually on a side plate from our kitchen. Moving into my office, I'd quite like another big plant to go here. I think a fiddle leaf fig would look fab, but I don't want to double up on the same plant. I would love maybe a banana leaf plant, banana leaf plant, or just another one with big leaves. On the windowsill next to my desk I have a Chinese money plant. I really love this plant. It's unique looking. I love that it's meant to bring you luck.
Mummy?
Yes, gorgeous.
Mummy.
Oh, I know, that's Mummy and Daddy, isn't it? One for you. Okay. I would love to have a go at putting some of the trimmings from this plant into another plant pot and growing another plant from it. My newest one, which is a something hope. Begins with P and it ends in hope. I can't remember the name of it. Why can't I remember the name of it? It was a bit of a random find. I found it when we were in Brighton a few weekends ago. I fell in love with what it looked like. I'd never seen one before. Again, it's another hanging plant. I love the leaves. I think it's a very delicate plant, even though the leaves are very chunky. It's pretty. I recently got this shelf to organise the office a little bit. Oh, ignore my banana skin from yesterday that I've still not cleaned up. I've used it to put my record player and records and cameras on, and I really liked the plant there. Let's go downstairs for the finale. Along with the cheese plant, this is the other plant that we originally had in our flat and moved to this house with us. This is a type of palm. I'm not sure exactly what variety of palm plant it is. I just know that it's a palm. I tried to look online, but they all look very similar. This used to be by our TV and now it's in this corner. I love that it's big and it makes a statement, and I think it looks really good in here. I've just found a new leaf coming through. As you can see, they come out really pointy and tight. That doesn't even look like that's going to be a new leaf, and before you know it, it will start to open up. Oh, that's really exciting. It's very naked in here at the moment. We want to get some shelving put up along here and get our books up and make it feel a bit more homey. It's very well and it's very healthy. I'm sure if it wasn't by now the whole thing would be dead, but I do get a lot of brown leaves with this plant and I have had to cut it back quite a bit. So apart from that one, in the kitchen we do have a few cacti. I don't know why I seem to have all cacti in the kitchen. It's just kind of how it ended up. You know when you move and you don't quite know where to put things, and I had a couple of cacti from our living room. I just plonked them on the windowsill next to the kettle and they've lived there since. They're doing well, they seem to be happy. I also have a small one on the other windowsill by our radio and our kitchen table. It's in my favourite plant pot. I am constantly eyeing up the work from the artist where I purchased the plant pot from. I love her work, and those are all my plants so far. So far. You're probably wondering why I've got my diary. I have my diary because I've got questions from you guys that I wanted to answer. So the biggest question that I get regarding our houseplants is where I get them from. So it's a mixture really. The two main ones, so this one and the one in our bedroom, were from local garden centres. I do remember buying this one though and having to put it between my legs in the car on the way home. That was interesting. Other ones have been bought online. A couple I bought on Truva from very small independent shops, but one shop I really love for plants online is called Hortology, I think, unless I've read it wrong, but I think they're called Hortology. The quality of their plants have been really good. They always arrive in one piece and they haven't died on me. I think where you get your plant plays an important role in whether they survive. If you live in London, there's a website called Patch, and yeah, I'm sure there's lots of other places, but I've just used that place and have had a really good experience with them. A lot of you ask how I care for my plants. Actually, quite easy. It's fairly low maintenance, apart from one of them, the hanging one in the bedroom, which it's keeping me on my toes at the moment. They're generally very easy to take care of. See, I don't even know how often I water them. I probably water them once, maybe twice a month. I play it by eye. If I look at the soil and it looks a bit dry, I pop my finger in by an inch or so, and if it feels dry, water it. And unlike us where we need to constantly be hydrating, plants need the opposite. Plants just want good old drink and then to be left alone. I do also dust them, which I did instinctively with my cheese plant because the leaves quite obviously get dusty because they're very big and you can see that they're dusty. And I remember dusting them thinking, I've gone mad. But then after doing a bit of research, actually you are meant to dust them because if they've got dust on them, then they can't absorb light as well. And so I will just dust them with a dry cloth, or a lot of the time I will use my feather duster. By the way, I'll link pretty much everything you'll see within this video. A lot of you ask where my watering cans are from. I love them. I fell in love with them when I found them. I also have a spritzer thingy which I use on mainly this plant. I don't know if you should do that. I do that because I feel like it gets quite dry in here. Don't be scared to trim back plants as well. I've had to trim a lot of brown leaves from this one. These little guys were not very happy, so I've just trimmed them back. because they're not going to grow anymore. They're just going to take up room and energy for the plant where it could use the energy to grow the nice big healthy leaves. The other thing that I do, mainly with the cheese plant, whenever I feel like it's leaning too far one way, I will turn it round so that it can get some light on the other side of it. That's one way to help reduce growth of small leaves. If you've got a plant that doesn't need repotting, then if the chances are of it's growing small leaves, it's maybe because it's not in a bright enough environment. Mine's just growing small leaves because it just needs to be repotted. I find that the leaves will tend to grow towards the window, so I turn them around to just stop them leaning too much in one direction. I do have some fertilizer which I bought on Amazon. I can link it. I can't vouch for it because I've not used it yet. I've read that you're not meant to use fertilizers until spring summertime, but it has got really good reviews on Amazon. I'm pretty sure it's all natural and organic. Don't quote me on that. Oh, actually, one last thing. I have a book which I've been asked about quite a lot. Where is it? I usually just use Google to answer any queries. I mean, Google's pretty helpful when you need a question answered. For example, in Brighton, when I picked up that plant, I didn't know what it was called. One of you guys told me what it was called. I then Googled the species and it told me how to look after it.
My apologies, I don't understand.
Oh, what? I didn't even say, hey Google, why is it? But one book that has been helpful to read, and I don't know where it is. I think it's upstairs. Is it in here? Yes, it's in here on my ever so disorganised shelf. I've had this for a long time. Oh, this is the one that we have in the bathroom. So this is the proper name for it, but it is also called these names as well. This is a great book because it breaks everything down bit by bit. What light it should grow in, temperature, watering, pictures and illustrations are lovely. It's got chapters about repotting. Well, this is what I want to do with the money plant in here. So I want to give this a go. Everything you'd really want to know about your house plant. Do any of you guys have air plants? Well, I don't know what to do with them, or just I don't know how to display them, but I feel like it would be really fun to have just like an area of the house with some air plants in. I will link this in the description because I think this is a really really handy book to have. I hope you enjoyed this video. Even if you don't plan on getting any houseplants, I hope you just enjoyed having a nosy at mine. I'm actually going to go water my plants because I've not watered them in a couple of weeks, so I'm going to see if any of them need a bit of TLC. I will see you in the next video. Bye.